Dear students, welcome to this online class. Uh, Today, I am giving a class for the honors secondary students. The class I am giving you on the course History of English Literature. The topic is Victorian period. Dear students, as you know, uh, you do have the history of English literature in your syllabus. This is a vital course, and students of English literatures are expected to have a deep knowledge about different periods, their characteristics, and the literatures produced in those ages. So, the Victorian period is one of the most important periods in which lots of literary production were made. So let's go directly to what we have in this lesson. The age is named after Queen Victoria. She ascended the throne of England in 1837 and her age continued till 1901. But Victorian age is commonly considered ranging from 1822 to 1914. So, in short, let's have a glimpse of the basic traits or the basic features of the age in some subheadings. First comes industrialization, gender and class-based society, paradox, 4. Religion versus science, 5. Urbanization, 6. Nostalgia, 7. Imperialism, and 8. Franchise. Actually, Queen Victoria initiated the age, Victorian age. This age is famous for industrialization, and the English people became the kings of the seas, defeating the Spanish Armada. They did establish lots of industries and factories across the country, and they produced lots of goods and commodities which they exported in different parts of the world, and that made them own lots of foreign currencies. So industrialization is one of the greatest features of this age. Uh, Today we use lots of gadgets. For example, we do use railways, photography, electricity, telegraph, steam engines, and so on. Different production of science. Actually, most of us don't know when these things were produced or were invented. Yes, this is Victorian period in which those gadgets were produced by the Victorian people, Victorian scientists. In the 19th century, everything seemed bigger and better. London was crowded, industries were booming, and the British Empire was expanding towards breaking point. Their life was in haste and speed. They were very much industrious, and they used to improve their earthly living by working lot. So, as you find in David Copperfield's novel, procrastination is the thief of time, color him. From this very quote, we can understand how the people of Victorian age were. So, this age is famous for industrialization. This is the first point. H.G. Wells, one of the greatest novelists of Victorian period, whose novels, The Time Machine, and another is uh, The War of the World, are very much famous. And in those novels, we get introduced with the scientific inventions of the age. So the age is famous for scientific inventions, which pushed the Victorian era into an industrialized world. Second point, Victorian period is famous for the society which is based on gender discriminations, and the society was class-based. Actually, gender and class, these are the two very important words that can be used to describe the age. How was the condition of the women during the Victorian period? Let's know it in brief. There are differences between men and women considered during this period. Men and women meant to be separated from each other. They were considered different in their actions, in their physicality, in their sexual activities, in their sex, as well as in their contributions to the society. Men were considered physically strong. On the other hand, women were considered physically weak. Regarding men, he was strong and sex was central to his body or physicality. On the other hand, women were considered only for the reproduction, and this was central to their sex. Men were independent. On the other hand, women were dependent. Men belonged to the public sphere. They were allowed to take part in public activities, out of home activities. They used to participate in different socio-political activities, but women were belonging only to the private sphere inside home. They are not allowed to take part in out of home activities. So, the politics and paid work were only for men, not for the women. So, the main activities for the women were to maintain household activities and to raise their children. However, for working class people, this was quite impossible to maintain the families unless women took part to out-of-home activities, because by only single-handed income, this was quite impossible for them to maintain the family. So women of working class used to take part in out-of-home activities, especially in different industries and factories. They used to work as wage earners. Then comes class-based society. How was it? Actually, there are different determinants that is to determine their class. income, occupation, education, family structure, sexual behavior, policies, politics, and leisure activities used to determine their class. There are basically three classes found in Victorian period. Those are, first, let's go from the below. First comes working class people. 70 to 80% of the Victorian people are working class, and their annual income was not more than £100. So this class used to earn their income by selling their labors to different factories, different industries, as we can call them wage earners. Second comes the middle class. Middle class also used to earn their money by having salaries and profit from their small businesses. Their income ranged from £100 to £1,000 per year. And in the social ladder, then comes the upper class. They did have property. They used to rent their houses. They used to get interest by investing their money. They had titles, wealth, land. In brief, they used to control national and imperial politics. So actually, they were the dominating power in Victorian era. But the scenario started getting changed with the demand of the middle class to have more power and the lower class to have their more rights. Then, next point, paradox. Dear students, we are obviously familiar with this topic or with this term paradox, or Ubhoy Shankot. Actually, they were stepping up in terms of science, in terms of inventions, in terms of improving their lifestyles, in terms of expanding their territories out of England, and to have established lots of colonies across the world. Their views of life also started getting changed. But still, one thing is very important: they are craving for the past. They are suffering from nostalgia for the past ideologies, past religion, past lifestyle, past nature, etc., etc. So, in short, you can say Victorian people were eager for the next big invention that would change everything, and nostalgic for a simpler time. As for example, in our time, even in this hyper-technology driven world, we still have something in common with the Victorians. We do have lots of inventions. We do have lots of gadgets in our day-to-day life. For example, someone has the latest iPhone, and he can use the iPhone for his pleasure, for fulfilling different desires, but still he's not happy. He thinks, or we think, the life in the past were more fascinating than we have now at present. Victorian people are also in that same paradoxical situation. Victorian people are having urbanization. Things are getting changed. People are shifting from rural life to urban life. But still, most of them used to think that life when they were in urban life was better than they have in the cities, in the towns. So they were in a paradoxical situation. Then, one of the major topics that we need to focus on, that is conflict between science and religion. This happened because one of the most important changes took place during this time. They were the first to confront Darwin's, that means Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Have you heard the name Charles Darwin? He wrote a book and the name is The Origin of Species. The Origin of Species. This book brought about a great change in the thoughts of people. And this book changed their religious view too. This book says about the survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest. That is the thing people are acquainted with got changed or at least got moved by this very thought of Charles Darwin that is propounded in his book, The Origin of Species. This book was published in 1859 that sparked a lot of debate. Darwin proposed a new theory for how the earth came to be populated with so many different species. How people strive, people struggle, or how much faith they have. Often the wars against them. Actually, this changed their views. So people saw in the rise different inventions of science, improvement of science. So their religious thought started getting changed. So there was a conflict between religious belief and scientific inventions and discovery. Different authors in their writings focused on these very issues. Among them, Matthew Arnold is one of the greatest names who uses the very conflict in his book, and he feels nostalgic for the past. Nostalgia, as I have already focused on, Victorian people are very much nostalgic for the past. Thomas Carlyle, Matthew Arnold, and some other authors in their writings use this view of Victorian people. They are craving for getting back the past or past ideologies, past lifestyle. They wanted to go back to nature. Imperialism. This is one of the most important features of Victorian period. Victorian period actually expanded that territory across the world, and there is different parts of the world and started exchanging or started bringing and sending their commodities and started business with those territories. So, England became the greatest empire of the world. Uh, British, the British dominated this India for about 200 years. And during this period, I mean during the period of Queen Victoria, their domination was on the topest position. And last point, franchise, that means right to vote. Right to vote. Working class people, even the middle class people, as well as the women didn't have their right to vote. So they raised the question of having the voting rights, and two of the acts were passed in the parliament which gave them voting rights. So this is almost about Victorian in brief or in short. Students, please go through your books and we'll have this in details there. And not only the second year students but also third year honors students also get benefited from this lesson, because different texts focus on the very issues raised in uh, uh, Victorian period, because they will have to study lots of text written in the Victorian period. So let's stop here today and we'll focus on other issues in our next classes. Thank you.